Let's hit the lines here one more time. I want to talk to Erin from. Oh, you'll recognize the postal code of BC.
Ooh.
Erin, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing okay. How are you guys?
We're all right.
See, as a courtesy to American
This is
hosts, which
a-
most of us are, they just say Canada down there. But when Erin is hosting this show, and if I'm getting a call and I know, like, I'm not afraid to put down ON or SK. You know, I like watching the American host struggle with it, but we know what that means. I'm not Canadian, but I'm just Canadian by association. But great to have you here, Erin. What did you want to talk to Paul about?
Hi. So I have recently been, I guess, discovered as an activist by my family. So my question, and it's not going well. Let's just say that it's not going that well. So as much as they knew kind of like where I was with my maybe faith positions, I don't think they knew quite how out of it I am. And they definitely didn't know that I was doing online activism. And so I guess my question is, was that a mistake? Should I have talked to them about it earlier? And also, what advice would you two give about that? And maybe even, did you go through this experience of like having your family discover that you not only are not a Christian anymore, but you actually actively speak out against the harms of Christianity?
Paul, you want to take this one first?
Sure. So yes, so many unpleasant memories flooding back. Thank you for that.
Sorry.
So no, that's our. It's sorry.
Canadian.
Yeah, we apologize when you. Yeah. So, yeah, was it a mistake? So, well, I mean, let me back up. So, yes, we first had the discussion of that I'm an atheist, and then I later became an online activist. So that was less of a surprise to them. I mean, a bunch of them learned it from, of course, other people forwarding, because these, as you know, the community you leave likes nothing better than to talk about the people who have left. So that, if once one finds out, they all find out. Was it a mistake? So I mean, we can't go back and correct anything. My biggest mistake was that I didn't control how I was outed. I like to say that someone went ahead and did that on my behalf, and I wasn't ready to have all those discussions with my family. And so it sounds like it's something similar is happening to you, where someone outed you before you were ready. And so what I will say, unfortunately, and this isn't great news, is that, yeah, that's probably going to sting for a while because you didn't get, not because they shouldn't know and not because whatever, but you didn't get to control the initial narrative. So if you want to keep being an activist, that's all going to be wrapped up with the normal advice that I like to give on this stuff, is that, if you and the people you're dealing with both agree that the relationship is more important than the disagreement, then you can find a path. I'm assuming, Erin, that you will always be on that side where you would prefer to maintain the relationship rather than be right. And it's okay. Yeah. It's okay if that's not the case. Like, sometimes there are toxic people in our lives and they're just like, they're so wrong. We got to cut that out. But when you want those relationships to continue, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, this specific situation is with people that I care very deeply about. I'm generally very close with, and I don't want to hurt them, and I want to retain a good relationship. So it is tricky. I've had other people in my life who they don't agree with me, with something about me or what I do with my life, and I've been willing to like kind of make boundaries and cut ties. But right now, I'm facing the family that I really want in my life. But they're obviously very like shook up about what I do, right. And so I'm trying to think about how to navigate that in a healthy way.
So 2 quick things. One is to assure them that, based on what my experience anyway, assuring the people that you're not holding them personally, that that you are not making this content because of them personally, and that you do not necessarily blame them specifically as individuals, right? You think that the whole thing is a system of lies, but you are not angry with them as individuals. So there's that first, and then the second thing, and hopefully they accept that you're not doing this to hurt them. The second thing would be inviting them to maybe set some boundaries for how you include them. So my family has asked certain things of me. So sometimes if I don't answer questions, it's to honor the requests of people in my life who are important to me, who would rather not. Yeah. They didn't sign up to be public figures, right?
That's a great idea.
So I invited them to say, like, what are you comfortable with me talking about, and what are you not? And I have done my very best to honor the things that causes them the greatest angst. It doesn't cause the whole problem, but it's a good faith gesture that you can do. So, and I can't get into the specifics because I would be breaking the agreements I made, but hopefully that's enough of a broad.
Totally.
Yeah. The only thing that I would really have to add to that is that as public figures, like you and me, we're public, right? We don't always control who hears our message. And I thought that I was doing these shows for the past year in some sort of like privacy or at least in a little bubble where none of my family finds out. Come to find out that not long after I started doing shows with nonprofits last year, they did know. And my mom surprised me, and she said, you know what, we don't agree with what you say, but we appreciate that you feel strongly enough that you would feel that you're out there, you're well spoken, you're well put together, and we appreciate that you feel that you're doing what you do, even though we disagree with it. So maybe there's like a surprise factor out there, but I suppose what's important to me is controlling the message. And if you're not out there, you know, if how do I want to say this? If you're not controlling what gets out there, then someone else is. And you have the best chance of controlling with your family what their message is. You're already out here, right? We can look up several hours of your content. Same with me. And this could get to the wrong hands at any time. And it's one of the risks that we run as content creators. We have no idea who's watching, right? So like for me, I should have had the conversation sooner than later. And by the time I did, it was too late. And my parents were proud of me. Who knew?
That's so interesting. Both of those things are such good advice. I hadn't thought about. Well, actually, I did. Even amongst my activism, I've always tried to be very careful with my wording. But like Paul was saying, like I can't control the narrative around it. And what I thought was using like kind of like safe words to describe the harmful aspects of growing up in religion, even though I may have used words like my upbringing or the environment at church. Those things are still easily attributed to parenting, and so I can see how valuable it would be to have a very honest conversation with them and set boundaries about like what can I say that's not going to hurt you, because I'm not meaning to hurt you. I'm meaning to send a bigger message out there, and I love you guys, and I think you're great. But these parts of my childhood and my upbringing were very harmful, and some of it involves like the way that things happened because we were like a charismatic evangelical family, but a lot of it happened even kind of without them knowing. So it is really interesting to think about that. I kind of had a thought that like I knew they would find out eventually. And I kind of had this thought that like when they found out, it might somehow kind of minimize that effect of thinking that because I don't believe anymore that I'm going to change as a person, and because they've seen me still throughout the last couple of years, and like they didn't maybe know I was an atheist, but that our relationship has been great the last few years, and so that might help a little bit with like them thinking that I'm going to somehow derail my life now that I'm not a Christian. But I think I may have misstepped by not talking to them about it.
And of course, you remember back to when you were a Christian, right? Anyone who's not for me is against me, right? The Jesus line.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So you are
I know their theology, so I can already see where they're going to go with this, and I'm
right
for the fact that they think those things, and I'm trying to decide, like, how do I have this like good conversation where we're building trust rather than throwing all these things I've learned over the last few years, and like I'm not sure if I'm wanting to cause them doubt or if I'm just trying to like comfort them at this point. Like, it's really, really tough to navigate.
Well, a couple things is one, they know where you stand now. So there's probably not much point in rolling your eyes when you're like when they're praying, right? Or like they know. And they're already dreading how you're going to react when they say certain things, when they say blessings or that they're praying for you. They're already tensing up based on my experience of the people who used to be in my life, right? So
yeah.
You know, you just have to be aware that in their mind, you are now no longer, you've not only rejected the thing that's most important to them, you are actively undermining the thing that is most important to them. And so that might also mean you can't say yes to every request they have. Say yes to as many as you're comfortable with. But also, you may have to come up with some things where you just both agree that we're never going to bring something X up or Y up, right? You have that, and you talked about boundaries, so I'm sure that's exactly what you meant by that. But it will unfortunately mean that there's probably going to be some topics that you can't talk about at Thanksgiving in October when it's supposed to be.
Oh, shots fired! I knew that was going to happen. The more Canada jokes we can get in here, the better.
Thanksgiving.
You guys are going to gang up on me on this one now, aren't you? Okay, that's fine. I can live with it.
Like several Thanksgivings. Thanksgiving is anytime.
I actually celebrate. My kids are American, so we actually celebrate both Canadian and American, which is the best. 2 turkeys.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Erin, thank you very much for giving us the call. Hopefully we gave you some insight. And for those of you who don't know, Erin's going to be actually, she's a regular recurrent host here on Truth Wanted. So it's only a matter of time before we get to see you back on the camera here, right?
That's right. I'll be back very, very soon.
We will see you soon.
Awesome.
Erin, thank you so much for calling tonight.
Okay.